It's hard to know, and as with many aviation accidents, there are many theories. It is likely that the captain flew her into the water, perhaps relying on inaccurate altimeter readings because the barometer had not been recalibrated for the drop in air pressure in the storm, perhaps because the captain was unfamiliar with the ship's 785-foot length, and when you raise the nose, the tail will drop, and the tail contacted the water.
This was the most deadly airship accident in history. So why is it not the most famous?
Well, there was no film of it, for one thing, the way there was with the Hindenburg. The Hindenburg seared itself into the public memory because people saw the film of the disaster almost in real time. The Akron sank at sea at nighttime. There wasn't much to see.
This was not the Akron's first accident. It actually had a history of accidents. Talk about those, and is this something that maybe this airship should not have gone on this mission based on its history?
Well, the airship probably shouldn't have gone on the mission based on the weather at the time. But also there were some structural problems. It is one theory that the upper fin may have failed. The ship had an identical sister ship named the Macon, whose upper fin failed. And so it's possible that there was a structural failure in the storm. But you're right, the ship did have previous accidents. In fact, one of its accidents happened in front of a bunch of congressmen who had come to Lakehurst, New Jersey because the Navy wanted to show off their new ship and get support. And while they were trying to show it off, the ship jammed its tail into the ground and crunched on the ground of the air station in front of all these congressmen.
During these years, talk about what was going on as far as airships' popularity.
There was a huge Zeppelin craze in the 1920s and 1930s. People were Zeppelin crazy. There were toys and banks, and it was kind of like the atomic craze of the 1950s. Zeppelins were far more advanced than any other aircraft of the 20s and 30s. When airplanes were these little flimsy wood and fabric things that could barely hold two people, airships were making regularly scheduled transatlantic crossings with paying passengers. So they were far ahead of the airplanes of their day. And the Akron itself was a huge and impressive machine that could outperform any other aircraft that the U.S. military had. In fact, if Akron had still been in service in 1941, chances are Akron or her sister ship would have seen the Japanese fleet approaching Pearl Harbor.
Are accidents responsible for kind of the airship's demise?
Well, they would have gone out of service anyway because fixed-wing technology simply outpaced them. Airplanes nowadays can do much better what the airships could do better in the 30s. But the accidents probably hastened their end.
Why should we care? Why is this important on this day?
There are actually a lot of lessons to be drawn from many of the airship disasters, which is that these were disasters where politicians took command and the engineers and the military officers and the technical people allowed themselves to be pushed, influenced, and bullied by politicians. And most of the great airship disasters, including the Akron, including the Macon, including the USS Shenandoah, which crashed, and probably including the Hindenburg, were the result of civilian politicians pressuring technical people to do things they knew they shouldn't do. So there is a lesson to be learned about political interference.